Well, with the 2023 gaming cycle in full effect, I of course wanted to speak on what can be another banger in this year's release cycle. And, of course, answer the question, is it worth your time to be hyped? What game is that? Well, we're going to be talking about Star Wars Jedi Survivor today. But before we get into that, if you enjoy gaming discussions about Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, then this channel is for you. So go ahead and consider subscribing and joining this awesome community that is being built right here, right now. So, now let's get into it. The game, of course, as we know, was delayed to April 28th because Respawn, of course, wanted to get the game fully clear of bugs or performance issues. And if you remember, Jedi Fallen Order had some bugs and I think performance issues on PlayStation and Xbox. So they, of course, want to get this kind of cleared out of the way so they don't have a rerun of what happened previous. Of course, you know, which is a really good, refreshing take, as AAA in the past couple years has had a notorious problem of being bug-riddled or even having issues running. So this delay brings a fresh air to the, of course, 2023 gaming year, as it seems that Respawn, of course, as they never miss, is seeming to uphold a promise of keeping their games fresh and ready to run and play on launch date. Of course, the game is keeping in tune with the first game as it's adding more planets to explore in an open world format that allows you to discover what's inside the planet and everything, just like the original, which will be a very cool aspect of this game as well, as exploring these new planets will invoke some similar planets that we have seen in the movies and, of course, comics and books of the expanded universe. It would be very cool to have similar comparisons. Of course, I would love to visit original planets, but of course, it's good to see new planets being invented for us to explore and also keep us into this game and utilizing the expansive universe that is Star Wars. But I cannot wait to discover what these planets have in store for us with lore and what has transpired on this planet before Cal, of course, our main character, has arrived on this planet. Like, I mean, just to throw some ideas, would it be really cool if one of the planets had a crash Republic cruiser or even an old battlefield that happened during the Clone Wars that you could explore and find artifacts that were once, of course, weapons? Like, could you imagine finding a shock trooper helmet and seeing all the insignias on it and all the personalization on it, and you pick up part of the armor and there's a skeleton inside, and then there's, of course, his weapon, and then right next to him is like a battle droid that is very hurt and misfigured due to what transpired there, and it's of course rusty from the years of sitting there. And I mean, you could even find data pads that of course inform you of what happened during this battle. It would be very cool to see, or even finding old text with the Sith or Jedi, or even just traders or bounty hunters or even pirates or just people who have passed through the planet talking about its various aspects that define the planet and show us how fresh the wildlife can be in this game. It'd be very cool because as you see in the trailers and stuff, the wildlife is a big part of this game as it was the previous. You will be fighting the wildlife, so it'd be very cool to learn what the animals that inhabit this planet are through just data pads of people who have traveled through, passing through, or of course sadly met a fatal fate due to these creatures. Of course, what really excites me that is going to be refreshing and of course builds on the original, which is important about a sequel, is that this game is adding a new lightsaber form that of course will remind you of Ahsoka Tano if you watch the Clone Wars or even the Mandalorian, any of these popular Star Wars titles today. But what fans have wanted for years, we get to utilize that form in a game and test its limits and advantages in combat. Like, I cannot wait to see how this will perform against groups and of course single dual lightsaber combat. Of course, the single blade and the double blade saber combat's returning like in the previous, which will be very fun to use again, but I am excited to see how to utilize this new form, of course, in combat situations that are similar to Fallen Order, but of course bring a new take with this lightsaber form in Jedi Survivor. I, of course, really hope we get more emphasis to utilize different lightsaber forms for different types of battle situations. Like, of course, I reference this all the time, but Ghost of Tsushima, where we would have more advantage using the double-bladed lightsaber for dueling against enemies with staffs or two-handed weapons, and of course the two-bladed method, the Ahsoka Tano, would work well with, of course, big groups of animals or just enemy types of general. And of course the single blade would be good for single duels that you would use in boss battles or just single duels against single enemies. It will be really cool and refreshing to see how to utilize these, like I said, and of course bringing a new aspect to this game that improves upon the sequel and keeps you coming back and not bored with the title when it launches, because that's a very important aspect of this game. Is with sequels, you do not want to bore your players with mechanics of old, especially a game like this that of course combat is a big emphasis on it. And of course it looks like that they're going to be bringing their A game for new combat situations and techniques. Of course, we have to talk about new force powers as well that we can utilize in this game. Of course, if you played Fallen Order, you know that Cal really was regaining his connection to the Force as he had abandoned the Jedi ways due to the Order 66 command. And of course, we found out in Revenge of the Sith and of course in other Star Wars media. So this game, he'll be a full Force user, which will be very cool to see utilized. We finally get a game where Cal has his Force powers, and it will be very interesting to see how we can utilize it. Of course, with these new Force powers, we can not only just throw our lightsabers, we can also use the Force to slow down the enemy's movement. That allows us to get a couple strikes in and really gives us the advantage in a battlefield situation, while also helping us will be in dire situations. I can see this being utilized during situations where you're really hurt or at a heavy disadvantage, where you need that advantage to get on top and defeat your challenger or enemy. I do hope we get lightsaber duels like in the first one, as those were of course very fun and challenging, but I enjoy that we will get to fight battle droids, as it seems they are of course being utilized for pirates or bounty hunters of some sort. It's gonna be very cool to fight these. We've seen it teased in Star Wars Rebels, of course Clone Wars, it's the Clone Wars, but we've seen it teased in post-Clone War content that they were still utilized for some sort of use, whether it was for bounty hunters, pirates, or just other adversaries or characters we met in Star Wars. Of course, BD-8 also has some new mechanics, as he can now be sort of used as binoculars to help see the planet and really help you carve a path on where you need to go objective-wise, or just trying to explore the planet, of course. Now, one thing I haven't really talked about that was really important about Fallen Order that will be very imperative and very mysterious in Jedi Survivor is the story. I'm really excited to know where they go with this mystery, as it seems that they are trying to find someone that can help fight the Empire in what of course is the early days of the rebellion. I cannot wait to see how they twist and turn the story, as we of course know Luke Skywalker has not appeared, which would be the hope for the rebellion, and of course advances their movements forward with Han Solo, Leia, and of course other characters like Lando. So it'll be very interesting to see how they really turn this story to really integrate it into the full Star Wars timeline and see where it goes. I mean, because like, you know, a lot of people thought with Fallen Order, well, it'll be a one-off because they'll kill Cal because he can't be the Jedi that really advances the story in terms of the rebellion, as of course we know who does, Luke Skywalker. But of course they expertly crafted that story to take on a new form to show that Jedi could exist before Luke. Of course, we have other media as well that show that. But I cannot wait to see how this story will challenge Cal and his team this new installment. We saw in the previous game that he gets tempted with the dark side. I'm excited to see how they do that again in this game, because it does show that Cal will be tempted, as shown previous. I cannot wait to see how they do that in this game, if they even do it. I hope they do, as that's one of the more interesting parts of being a Jedi in Star Wars, is that gray side of the temptations of the dark, and also trying to follow the light and be the best Jedi you can be, while also tiptoeing the line to not be a Sith Lord. So it'll be very cool how they utilize that. Cannot wait to see where the story goes. Of course, we know that his teammates, of course, one of them was a Jedi and again became a Jedi, so we'll see how that kind of runs. Wonder if she'll be a great Jedi. We'll of course find out. Now, what really bums me out is that we will not get to have the lightsaber dismemberment with human enemies like we see with the droids and animals. This was a big thing about Fallen Orders. A lot of people wanted the dismemberment we would see, and of course, Force Unleashed. And you know, and I really think, of course, it's a light nitpick. I would really love to see dismemberment back in Star Wars, and especially in a lightsaber-heavy game. As we know, those things can destroy people. But of course, mods will fix that. You know, maybe we'll get it if they make a third installment of this series. We'll see. But of course, that's a little nitpick. I really hope that we could see that in the future without mods, but we'll see. Respawn, they're doing their thing. They're doing right by Star Wars, so we'll see, of course. Now, I really do want to see how Cal will fight the Empire, as we got a tease of that in Fallen Order, and I cannot wait to see how his notoriety increases and how the Empire will look to fight him or even challenge him to show himself in a very disadvantaged situation that will really test his limits and, of course, test his ability as a Jedi. I cannot wait to see how they do that. So now, the ultimate question is this game worth your time and hype? And I'd say yes, because the trailers so far have shown us that this sequel builds upon the game with, of course, the new combat iterations with force powers and lightsaber forms that players have wanted since the OG Battlefield / Star Wars LucasArts game time. And Respawn, again, has shown over and over that they respect the source material of not only Star Wars, but of course their other game titles they've released. They have not really released a game that we've really, in the recent memory, that has really been like, dang, that sucked. Of course, we know they famously made the Titanfall 1 and 2 really being the banger, and of course showing people what Titanfall could be, and of course Apex Legends they've made. But I love how they add their little piece to this gigantic world for us to enjoy that is organic and meshes with the big Star Wars universe as a whole. It's one of my favorite things about Star Wars is that you can use different mediums to fit your world and expand the story that you didn't think needed to be expanded. And they've, of course, crafted a beautiful game for us to enjoy. I mean, look at the planets in these trailers I've shown in the video. They're beautiful. It's crazy. And I'm excited to see. That's one of the things about the new next-gen consoles. Like, I guess current gen now. They're beautiful. These games are beautiful. Of course, to finally finish off, when does Respawn ever miss? Like, really, truly think to yourself, when do they ever miss? So, I have faith and hype that this game will be another great entry for the Star Wars universe and of course this year of gaming, and could be a GOTY contender with all the bangers we've had so far. Of course, we'll see how Hogwarts Legacy plays out. And of course, Dead Space was a banger. We got Resident Evil 4 Remake coming. We've got Redfall, Spider-Man 2, which I cannot wait for. It needs to come now. Just kidding. I want the devs to take their time to have it by fall 2023. So, you've made it into the video, and if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that. But if you haven't been convinced yet of whether you subscribe to the channel and join the community, check out some of my older content. Check out the comment section for the discussions we have, as I have great viewers who not only give me advice about how to better my videos and the channel itself, but also give their points about the games that I talk about, and they're meaningful, and they have great debate points that we can discuss in the comments below. So as I'm describing that, go ahead and comment below what you think about Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Are you excited? Do you want to see another Star Wars game? Are you tired of Star Wars? Tell me down below. I would love to talk to you and hopefully welcome you into the community. So with that, don't forget to like the video, hit that notification bell, and of course be updated with the notification bell on when I upload next. But until next time, peace.